Greetings, everyone. I'm John Murphy, and today I'm going to talk about the ego and the ego thought system. Now, a lot of people think about the ego as a personal thing. So and so has a personal ego. I have a personal ego. You have a big ego. You don't have an ego. Um, I'm going to talk about the ego in terms of a way of thinking or a thought system. You see, the ego is the same way of thinking, whether it's in China or Brazil or anywhere in the Americas. It's a way of thinking. The ego is the same everywhere. And that way of thinking, which we are all conditioned with from early in our lives, is dualistic in nature. Dualistic meaning it's teaching us to think in terms of good, bad, right, wrong, up, down, win, lose. And so we learn this way of thinking to differentiate what to do, what to choose, and how to act and behave. Problem with the ego thought system is that if we don't eventually learn to transcend it, we're never happy because the ego thought system is never happy. It's always looking for more. It's a bigger house, a faster car, more money, more degrees. It never gives up. So the ego thought system, that way of thinking, is never satisfied. So as long as we are attached to that way of thinking, we're never truly happy. And we're always living in fear in some way, and insecurity. We always fear losing that which we have attached to, that which we value. So think about this for a minute. The ego thought system believes in scarcity and lack. It's always saying there isn't enough. The world is full of abundance. There's plenty of everything we need for everyone. It's true we have imbalances, but there are no shortages. All right, we are surrounded by abundance, abundant opportunity, abundant love, abundant prosperity. We just have to learn to embrace it. We embrace it by transcending that ego thought system, that way of thinking. All of our grief, our shame, our guilt, any doubt that we have, any anxiety or stress, anything that we worry about, it's all coming from that ego way of thinking. All worry about upcoming presentation, or all resentment or regret about something in the past, all of our grief, it's coming from that way of thinking. So when we drill down to the root causes of why we are feeling anxious or depressed or stressed, or we just can't seem to get ahead, pay attention, because we find that ego way of thinking. And to transcend that, and I'll be talking more about ways to transcend it in other videos, but to transcend it, it's really a letting go process. So when I talk about letting go to let flow, it's the ego way of thinking that I'm talking about letting go of. Recognize it as a tool, but don't attach to it. Use it when it's necessary, but don't let it define you. You are not the ego. You're much more than that. You're much happier than that. So don't let the ego fool you. Recognize what it is, and whenever you're feeling down or distressed, recognize that it's the ego playing with your mind in that way. And that once you recognize that this is not coming from your true self, it's coming from the ego, your false self, okay, and any shadows that that ego casts, you've begun the awakening process. I'm John Murphy. I'm here to help. God bless.